Hi everybody, it's Maddie here. I'm just coming on to share with you guys all the tips that I can think of at this very moment of where you can source items to resell. And I have a list on my computer, so I'll be looking down in the video at my list because I can't memorize everything and I want to make sure I don't leave anything out that I thought of. But as a reseller, one of the main things that happens to me when I tell people that I resell for a living is, first off, they ask me, is that profitable? And then I'm kind of thinking in my head, why did I tell you that I do this for a living? And then you're asking me if it's profitable. Why would I have said that I do it for a living? Why would I be doing it if it wasn't profitable? Like, if it wasn't profitable, it's a lot of work, but they don't know. They don't know if it's hard. They just don't know how much time it takes to actually do it. And it takes time to set everything up and learn what's worth reselling and what items to pick up and all that. But this is not a video about what items to pick up. This is just places that you could go to find those items. So I can make a whole other video on what is worth picking up, but I kind of feel like one of the best things to do for me, and one of the best ways that I've learned, is watching other people's thrift haul videos for reselling, their what sold videos for reselling, physically going to people's Poshmark closets and just looking at all their sold listings. I've even gone through people's Poshmark closets, look up their sold listings and go from high to low, so I know what sold for the most amount of money too. So there's that. And then also, I highly recommend getting an Instagram if you do not have one already. And even if it's just for the sole purpose of following hashtags, you can actually follow like hashtags just in general. You don't even have to follow people, although you should follow people and be in the community and all that. But follow hashtags, like look up cart haul, look up what sold on Poshmark, look up like Poshmark seller, Poshmark closet, thredup seller, all those things. Look up, and also look at the people who have lots of followers and what hashtags they're using in the actual like photos. Follow all the hashtags you can. That's how I learned which brands were worth picking up. I didn't know about any high-end brands because I didn't grow up with a lot of money for clothing. So I thrifted a lot growing up, and I thrifted based off of style, based off of what I thought looked good. And I just a couple years ago, I was the one going to like Francesca's and buying the boutique dresses because I thought that was like splurging. So it's just funny because now it's a totally different mindset for me, and I only want to pick up things that are made quality and that will last a long time. And a lot of times it is those higher end brands that make things more durable. So anyway, there's a little bit on that, but I'm not going to get too far into it. So basically, one of the best places to get started, in my opinion, that you're not going to be breaking the bank, is either yard sales, garage sales, estate sales, or the bins. And if you don't know what the bins is, it's the Goodwill outlet. And the way it works is they roll these huge blue bins out into the floor, and you have to dig through everything. The first couple of times you do it, you kind of feel like you're punishing yourself, but then after a while you're like, you know what? I'm finding such amazing stuff. I don't mind if I'm digging for it because I find such amazing stuff. So I do think that you can find a great deal on stuff at the Goodwill bins. However, if you do not know brands and you are not paying attention to trends and styles and all that, you could end up with a lot of stuff that you are just stuck with that you can't sell. So make sure that if you can, before you pay for your items, that you look them up and you try to look up the comps on them. Comps is a way of saying like what they sold for or how much they're going for. So I would look up the comps on them and make sure that you are not picking something up that you cannot make a decent profit on. My kind of rule of thumb, some people will pick up anything they can make a profit on. My rule of thumb is I have a pretty high standard with what I want to pick up lately, And aside from Whatnot, just things that I would be putting on like Poshmark or eBay, I try to only pick up things that I could list for like 40 or above, or 50 or above. If it's at the bin, sometimes I'll pick things up, like if it's a brand new pair of American Eagle jeans and it has tags on it or something, or it's like a trending style like the mom jean and all that, I'll pick that up. But you just have to be very, very careful with flaws at the Goodwill outlet. But everything is so much cheaper to buy there because they charge you by the pound. So anyway, there's that. Another, I'm like losing my voice because I've been doing Whatnot shows, you guys. It's a lot of talking. Anyway, so get on the email lists and plan your schedule around thrift store sales. So I get a lot of items from thrift stores. I live here in Dallas, and I go to Thrift Giant and Salvation Army and just any thrift store I can go to. If they're having a sale like 50% off, or every winter item is $1 or something like that, you have to get there, and you have to get there early. After a couple hours, most of the resellers have picked over most of everything, but you can still find something later, but you just won't find as many things, so it's not going to be as worth your time as far as finding as many items at one time. But I love to go to Salvation Army on their 50% off day and find stuff there. Again, check for flaws, check for holes. Sometimes they will tag the item at the thrift store and they'll put a big hole in it. So be careful. Don't pick up things that are flawed. That is like the 100% number one thing I can say, is be very careful about flaws. Turn things inside out. Look at the crotch/gusset of the jeans inside. Make sure there's not like period stains on it or something. That's happened to me before. I've like looked on the outside, looked fine, looked on the inside, not fine, had to throw it away. So be careful. Let's see. So yeah, having 3 to 4 locations that are thrift stores that you regularly go to makes it a lot easier to look past stuff you've already seen. So when you're at a new thrift store that you haven't been to, you want to like really pay attention to every single item. But like my Goodwill that's down the road from me, I know what color is the new color that's coming out every week. And because I go every couple of days, I will literally just look for only that new color each week, because I've already seen the orange and the yellow and all the other colors. You just have to be careful if it's in between like color switching like over the weekend. But I like to go on like Tuesdays, because usually by that time it's all on the new color. And they have time to like put new stuff out from the weekend that they got. That's just my take on it. And then let's see, from friends and family you can get items. So some people have like really big families, and you might have that rich aunt or rich uncle or whatever. They just happen to have a lot of stuff, and maybe they have a really nice job and they don't have time to go through everything and go through their closet. Like, don't be moochy about it, but just, you know, if they have really high-end pieces that you know would sell for a lot, just tell them like, hey, please consign this with me. Like if you have someone that has a bunch of really nice bags or whatever, and if it's someone really close to you, sometimes you can just photograph those expensive items at their house, and you can let them keep the items at their home, like if it's a really expensive bag, just so that they have that peace of mind. But just make sure if you do sell it that they're a kind of person that's, you know, they're gonna be available, and that they're not gonna back out or change their mind about selling the items. You can make a card for your reselling business and tell people what you're doing. I know that feels weird and it can be uncomfortable. People do not know what you're doing until you physically tell them. You're the only one telling them. No one else is telling them. Think about that. Like, if you're not telling them, no one's telling them. And on the internet with Instagram, sometimes people find you, but a lot of times from what I've talked to people about and all that, people's like best buyers are sometimes people they ran into at the thrift store, you guys, because they're there and they're thrifting, they're shopping, they want that stuff. So they might be willing to pay you a little bit more for it if you're the one that found it at the thrift store. So anyway, there's also an app called Flip. It's FLYPP. I think it's 2 P's. You could look it up, but it's the only thing spelled like that. So they they started out as a basically online meeting the consignor with the consignment. So people would offer up like, I want to sell this whole lot of things. And then a reseller would basically bid on their bundle and say, hey, I think I can make this amount of money with that. And then they come to an agreement about how much money they know they could make off of that amount of clothing and condition and sizes and all that. I've never done it. I'm going to do it at some point and make a video on it, but I know a lot of people have found some really good stuff to sell on there. And if you are in an area where there's not much thrifting and it's hard to find inventory, that might be a good idea for you. Yard sales and estates. So yard sales and estates are great. I've found some really good stuff. I will say, if you're not careful, you can spend a lot of gas money driving around, and you have to get there really early. And there's an app called, it's like Treasure Hunter, or it's like yard sale hunting. Google yard sale apps, yard sale hunting apps, all that. Because they'll come up, and sometimes you can actually plan your route and look at all the times of, which one starts when, and literally like screenshot each show you're going to go to, like each yard sale you're going to go to, and go to them in order, so that you can get there early and get the best deals. And then estate sales. So in the beginning, a lot of estate sales will hike up their prices a lot. So sometimes it's worth going right when they open, seeing what they have, and then if everything's a little too expensive, ask them on the last day what they're doing with the items that are still left over, or if you can basically like come back later and get maybe 75% off something. Sometimes they're like 80% off the last day. So but you can always talk to them and just tell them, hey, I'm a reseller. Like, do you guys already have a plan for what you're doing with the leftovers at the end? Same thing at yard sales. You can do that as well. Storage unit auctions. So there's this whole subculture of people who literally only source from storage units, you guys. And it started, there's like TV shows called Storage Wars and all that. Oh my gosh, they're not exaggerating. It's a culture. It's a group of people. They are tight-knit and they don't like new people coming in. But with the pandemic, there's a lot more of these storage unit auctions online. So it is a little bit easier to actually bid on the items and get a better deal from what I can tell. Because I watched the auctions, but I haven't bought any storage units. But I know that you really need to be careful, because if there's a mattress in there, most places do not accept mattresses, and you have to pay to get rid of them. So you really need to factor that into your amount of money that you think you could make with the storage unit. Like if you see a bunch of stuff, but that's a very kind of gambly situation. Flea markets. So yeah, people will go sometimes to the bins and pick up a bunch of stuff. They'll literally bring it to the flea market because they just want to flip it each weekend. They want to make double their money or whatever. So that's a whole other thing. You can find some really good stuff at flea markets. It's a lot of I feel like the best way to find the best stuff probably includes a lot of schmoozing with people and chatting with people. So make sure that you bring some kind of card, or you connect with people online or get their information. Because if you come up to somebody who has a big moving truck and they have all this stuff in it, and obviously they're a storage unit buyer, you could tell them, hey, I'm a clothing reseller. If you come into a bunch of clothing in one of these storage units, I will buy it from you. So that's another idea. Church sales. So sometimes churches have benefit, or they're trying to go on a mission trip or whatever, and they have yard sales. So you can find some really good stuff at the church sales as well. And Craigslist is another one. Now, for Craigslist, I've never tried to do that for clothing, but I know my dad has found a lot of four-wheelers and boats and cars and stuff like that on there. So if you're into reselling that type of thing, that might be a good idea for you, especially people that are into reselling mowers, blowers, and weed eaters, that sort of thing. Because I know some people will buy those up and they'll fix them up and flip them. Let Go / Offer Up. That's another one that's like kind of like Craigslist, but on more of an app. The Next Door app, which is more like community based, but there are people that put a lot of furniture on there if you do furniture. Mercari. So I've noticed some really good deals on like Lululemon, Free People, brands like that on Mercari, because I think that there's a lot of people on there that don't really resell full time. They're just doing it like as like a one-off thing. So you can find some good deals on there. What else do they have on there? Oh, they have a lot of like hard goods, like homewares and stuff like that. So if you're looking for like a coffee grinder or an espresso machine or something like that, it's kind of like eBay in a way with the amount of like different types of things they have on there. And let's see, antique malls. Oh yeah, so if you're in a small town, say you sell like comic books or something, or vintage clothing, or vintage shoes, antique malls have some really good vintage stuff a lot of times. And if you get lucky, there could be somebody that, you know, everyone has all kinds of stuff in those places, but I've been in there before and seen there be at least 2 to 5 things that are really underpriced. Maybe that person just didn't look up the comps on them. Maybe they just got it for a really good deal and they don't mind giving it for a good deal. They want to flip it quickly. But you can find like even like boxes of scarves and different things like that, like vintage pieces. So another thing is anything that you want to do with your reselling business, if you are like, if you have any other skill sets, like I used to do photography full time, I've actually traded photography for different things in the past. So sometimes you can barter your services to like for people. So if you're at a yard sale and somebody has a bunch of stuff, if you have like a skill set, you could be like, hey, I know this is weird, I paint fences on the side. How about I paint your fence and you give me the rest of your yard sale stuff or whatever, you know? That's just a thought. Local consignment shops. Yeah, so local consignment shops usually donate whatever people don't come and pick up. But there's one near me that I've been trying to get to sell me their stuff that is not being picked up. Now, they are wonderful people and they are very supportive to a couple of the other thrift stores around. So a lot of the stuff they are donating to those thrift stores. But if you can get in good with a consignment shop and maybe become friends with the person who owns it, genuinely, not just because you want stuff from them, but you know, like if you're friendly and they like you, then they might give you the option to come and buy some of the stuff people didn't come pick up. And some of it is definitely worth picking up. Another one is thredup. You can go on thredup and you can source things on there. However, it takes a lot of time, in my opinion, to find things on thredup that are worth sourcing to resell. And you don't know what condition they're in. I mean, they try their best and they do a pretty good job, but sometimes I get things from thredup and they have stains or holes. So I would be careful about thredup, and also not to knock thredup's boxes, but I have bought like 6 different boxes. I bought 2 different denim boxes, 2 different shoe boxes, and 2 different mixed clothing boxes, all at different times. Each time it was a complete bust. The shoe box, I thank God was able to sell enough from the shoebox to make my money back. So, and the condition of the shoes was just not very good. It's very hit or miss. Let's see. I'm almost done. I know this is a really long video. ThredUp, the RealReal. Okay, so the RealReal, sometimes there's items on the RealReal that maybe because it's just like a solid black dress or it's just a smaller size or whatever, for whatever reason, sometimes you can find a really good deal on certain things on the RealReal and resell them on Poshmark, because maybe on the RealReal, the picture just doesn't do the item justice and it doesn't look as pretty. But you know what? If you take pictures of it on you and it happens to be your size or like bigger than your size and you can fit it on you, sometimes you can make a really cute photo for these items that are high end and someone will buy it. So yeah. eBay. There are certain people that, again, they shop at the bins or yard sales and they just want to flip the item on eBay. And then they don't even list it for a whole lot and you can find it for a good deal. Another one is Poshmark. So the other day I just sold a Kate Spade backpack and it is like quilted, black quilted leather, and any kind of like leather backpack and any kind of more half designer or semi-designer or designer item, backpacks just do really well for me anytime I pick them up, that if they're like leather and just like designer looking. So I picked up a Kate Spade backpack. Literally the pictures were terrible. The person said it looks brand new and it was $40. I looked at it and I was like, that's a Kate Spade backpack that looks really nice. Even from the photos I could tell. And I picked it up for $40. I sold it for $205 on Poshmark. So I made a profit after fees and everything. I made a profit of $130 on that, which I thought was great. And I knew it was going to sell quickly because I kept looking at other sellers and they were selling them fast, even for like way more than that one person. And the reason why I was able to find it is because I was on there searching like just in, and they just did like, the brand said Kate Spade, but the header just said quilted backpack, and that was it. So yeah, there's that too. And then the other thing is, you guys, you can source on Whatnot. Like, I know that it becomes addicting and you can, or addictive or addicting, whatever. But you can source things on there. And what I would suggest doing is, you want to look in the people who do not have as many followers. I'm not saying this in a way where I'm like, snatch up their stuff for cheaper, like because the other people are too expensive. But in a way, like, the newer people on there, they need support too. And they're running their live auctions. They might be new, but what they're starting the auction at is what they're okay with receiving. So you're not like being a shark going in there, but you know, you can go in there and you can find things for a good deal. So you can go in and hopefully they might have their store put together, but you can look at their store and you can go, hey, I noticed that you had these 3 items. I'm really interested in those 3 items. Do you mind running those for me? Get them to run the items in order if they can. Like, if they don't want to, that's fine too. But if they don't have as much of a following, you could probably still get a pretty good deal on it. And then they're getting a good deal too because they're getting rid of some inventory. But just because they're selling it doesn't mean it's not a good item or that they couldn't have sold it themselves. They're probably cherry picking some things that are nicer and throwing them in there. But also, like, they might not do the keywords that you do when you're making your listings. They might not sell the same places that you do. They might not have the same following that you do. So, yeah, Whatnot is a great place to source from. I would just say be careful because sometimes people sell things that are a little bit more flawed than you might realize. And since you're not physically there to see it, it's hard. But, you know. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I think I'm done. I know I've been talking for a long time, and thank you for listening. I just wanted to make this video because I've had a couple people that are newer to reselling reach out even to me, or I see them reaching out to other people when they're live. Where do you find your items? How do you source things? All that. Well, the items themselves of what to pick up is a whole other story. Where to get them is more solely based on your area, what you enjoy doing and how you enjoy sourcing the most and all of that. You have to put the work in. You have to figure out where in your area around you it makes sense for you to source things. Again, get on those email lists for like buy sell trade stores like Plato's Closet or Uptown Cheapskate or Buffalo Exchange. All those are great places to source from. I've even gone to the bins, got items from the bins, brought the bins items to Uptown Cheapskate, to Plato's, all that, sold them so that I could actually source better items without having to hand money over. So yeah, anyway, thank you for watching this video. Let me know if you have any more like ideas about videos I should be making. And yeah, I'm gonna keep doing this, so I hope you guys enjoy the video. I hope that this gives you some insight and some ideas. So comment below, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification to just know when I'm making more videos and all that. I know that I just talked a ton, didn't put any pictures up or anything like that, but I just feel like this type of a video is easier for me to do on a regular basis than to have to like cut things together constantly. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you.